What's happening, everybody? On today's show, the latest edition of the college football playoff rankings are out. How did things shake up after Alabama's lost to LSU, Tennessee's lost to Georgia? Our buddy Chris Marler will join us to break it all down. And SEC Week 11 already, it's do or die time for a lot of teams. We'll take an early look at this weekend's SEC matchups. Locked on SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's happening, everybody? I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. Remember, Locked On SEC is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube and at LockedOnSEC.com. This episode of Locked On SEC is brought to you by Sling TV. Don't miss this week's matchup between Alabama and Ole Miss right here on Sling. Sling, the TV you love for a price you'll love. Try it today. Without further ado, we welcome in our buddy Chris Marler from the College Football Uncensored podcast. As Marler, it's kind of sad looking ahead. It's SEC Week 11 already. Season's down here.
That's how you want to start the show?
Yeah, a little depressing.
You don't want to talk about what's not depressing in your great weekend?
I mean, I got to witness a World Series win for the Houston Astros. That was fun. And I think Alabama lost to LSU in Death Valley. Something that never happened. Something I heard a guy bring up on, I think it was last Friday, 5 times since the Eisenhower administration.
That's a good impression of me. That's exactly what I sound like. You sound like the guy. Have you ever seen those commercials? It's like, I got this mountain bike for $12. And it's God, I hope you get that reference. I don't think you will. There's like some commercial on TV. They run on SEC Network all the time. It's one of their 4 total commercials. You can take the picture down now. And it's like, it's like an auction, and there's just this one guy like standing like this, and he's like, I got this mountain bike for $12.
Yeah. Okay. I know what you're talking about. And that one and the Joe Namath one that they run like every commercial break.
But you gotta call and see if you whatever he is saying. That like, I want to call Paul Feinbaum so bad and be like, hey, Paul, listen, I'm just sitting. I was watching the Joe Namath commercial, and I just want to know: is he being serious about? Do I have to call to find out if I get the benefits, and just strictly talk about their commercials and see how long Paul is like? Okay, he goes from there. I'm doing anything I can to not talk about this game.
Yeah, we're gonna jump into it. I cover the SEC as a whole. I went to LSU. I root for them, but I'm unbiased. If they play like crap, I say they play like crap. This was shocking. I mean, I think I picked Alabama to win the game.
Right.
Just thought that the way Bryce Young had been playing and the LSU, the loss to Tennessee a few weeks ago, I thought it was going to be a little bit like that. But they showed up and showed out their defense. You know, Lane Kiffin kind of gave us the secret in the loss to, where LSU beat Ole Miss. He said that number 40, Harold Perkins, he shut down Jackson Dart in that second half. He shadowed him everywhere he went. He spied on him. They put him as the spy on Bryce Young. And, man, very rare do we see Bryce Young kind of rattled and, like, inaccurate with passes. And, they didn't get a ton of sacks on him. But, man, did they get pressure on him and force him into some bad throws.
Yeah, I mean, it was like surprising because like usually when Bryce is running for his life, it doesn't really necessarily mean that they're not going to complete passes. I tell you what, it's never, and this is not like first and foremost, you have to give credit to LSU because they did everything. I mean, the fact that Bama never had the lead while on offense, think about that. I mean, it was an awesome job from Brian Kelly. It was a job from Harold Perkins. That kid's gonna be a star. Love what Ali Gay said after the game. Sorry, the McDonald's coming up. And he said after the game, he said, this is why you came here. And this is why Brian Kelly came here. I think it's awesome that he was able to do this in year one. If you're a Bama fan, I mean, the sky is falling. I do think the dynasty's probably dead, just to be honest. Like, I don't think that's an overreaction. I think that's fair at this point. No, I'm serious.
They're going to be preseason number 1 next year. What are you talking about?
They were preseason number 1 this year. I didn't think they'd make the playoff this year.
They're coming back. They're going to go to the Capital One Bowl, beat the crap out of like Michigan or somebody, and they'll be right back.
I think it's kind of over at this point in terms of like the fact that Bryce and Will Anderson. And the scary part is like, cause there's just so many holes on this team that like in comparison to other teams. And I feel like whenever you talk bad about Bama, it kind of gives this weird caveat where people think that like, well, you're making an excuse. And this is not me making an excuse. Bama, like going into this season, I said repeatedly, I was like, I don't think Bama is going to win the SEC. I don't think they're going to make the playoff. I think that schedule's too tough with the, I didn't think they would leave that 3 game in the year with a with an undefeated record. They didn't. I mean, you had a week off before going to this one, but what pissed me off, Gordy? I said this on here and I said it everywhere else except for my own podcast. Okay. I said, I don't think Bama's mentally tough enough to go to Death Valley and win this game. I don't think they're good enough to win this game. And I'm sitting there in Athens, Georgia this weekend, and some guy comes up who's a listener to the podcast and he starts making fun of me about the Bama game. And I was like, well, I called it. And he was like, no, you didn't. You're the one that said on your podcast they were going to win. I was like, shoot.
Well, you said on our podcast you thought Bama was gonna lose. You did say that here a week ago. Yeah. So you changed your tune by later in the week. You started reading. I
got all fired up on bourbon and nostalgia. I just
let me give you a quick trivia question. LSU averaged 5.4 yards a carry against Alabama this past weekend. Do you know the last time LSU averaged 5.4 yards per carry or more against Alabama?
2004?
2006.
I knew I should have said 2006.
The year before Saban got there. Yeah. So literally that was the most yards per carry LSU has averaged ever since Saban has been at Bama. You think about Leonard Fournette, Darius Geis. I mean, all the great running backs.
Leonard Fournette averaged 1.4.
Yeah, they never did anything. Jaden Daniels, the running ability, and I said it last week, those dual threat quarterbacks can give Saban defenses fits. But
do they have a sack?
I think they did. I didn't look at
probably
I can pull it up, but
I think Will Anderson got one.
He did. Yeah. They had sacks. Dallas Turner had I think 1.5. Will Anderson had one, but how about Will Anderson? Only 2 tackles on the night.
I mean, he's not been
going up
anywhere.
Against true freshman tackle.
I tell you what. Yeah. See, that's the thing. That's the thing that surprised me the most in this game was him going up against a true freshman tackle, putting up any numbers. And the other thing is, I heard about this in the offseason. I don't know how much, but there was rumors that they were holding out Will Anderson from practice because he was so disruptive, and like they couldn't get offensive work done. And I think that has a lot more to do with the fact that Alabama's offensive line sucks versus Will Anderson. And again, I don't know how much that's true. The other thing is, the biggest difference, I kept saying, it's like someone's got to step up besides Kayshon Boutte. It's like somebody else, and they did. Jack Besh had a touchdown. The tight end who won the game. I think my therapist has helped me put his last name out of my memory, which is probably a healthy thing. But I mean, Mason Taylor. So he looked fantastic. But Bama's receivers just don't get separation. They don't come down with 50-50 balls. They just don't do things to win you ball games. And I think this is I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, Bama's going to look back at this season. Most likely they're going to have 2 losses on their schedule. I think they can bounce back this week. But having 2 losses by 4 points isn't that bad. And then you start thinking about it, though. It's like they could easily have 4 losses. They could be 5-4.
Yeah.
And so anyway, but yeah.
Give me a quick thought. I know you were at Tennessee, Georgia. What'd you make of God,
it was fun. It was awesome. It was I tell you what, this is not me. I love good football. I really, really do. I think that Tennessee, first off, I'll say that I think they can bounce back. I think some of their goals are still in front of them. If they even were their goals, I think there's also, I know it's everyone's goal to win a national championship, but it does seem like they've kind of arrived a year ahead of schedule or 2 years ahead of schedule. But what I will say about Georgia is this: what person to do to this team? The biggest takeaways I had, one, Kirby Smart said they practiced their butts off for 2 straight weeks. So you're basically just telling us that Florida game didn't matter, which is crazy to think about with this kind of that kind of. 2, I don't think about what Georgia, did you see a missed open field tackle? No.
They were sound.
They're so fundamentally sound. They're so good. They keep everything in front of them. They got sacks. They got to the quarterback. They dialed up pressure as the game went on and kept getting to dude, they spotted them a turnover in their own territory in the first drive of the game. They got a 4th and 28. Yep. And now I do want to say this too. It was the same officials from that Bama Tennessee game when they called that 4th and 28 face mask after the sack. I about came unglued. I will say that. But like, I think that Georgia is if it wasn't obvious now, and I don't think this just happened this weekend because Bama lost and they won. I think Georgia is the like premier program in the country. And I think that where you're at, if you're watching it happen in real time and you're being honest with yourselves, and I've said this before, I'm a lifelong Alabama fan. I cover the SEC. But if we're being honest with ourselves, Kirby Smart is a better coach right now than Nick Saban is. And I don't think it's necessarily something that's like up for debate that much because I know what he's done. I know you can say like, well, Kirby's got to win another one for it. As of right now, if you're watching these two teams prepare and get ready, Kirby Smart and Georgia are better. They're like by a decent amount.
He is Chris Marler from the College Football Uncensored podcast. Marler, hold it right there. We're going to jump into the college football playoff rankings in just a second with you and also get into the SEC Week 11 matchups. So first, I want to remind you guys about our friends over at SimpliSafe. If you've thought about securing your home with home security but have been putting it off, you'll want to listen up. Right now, Locked On SEC listeners can order the #1 rated SimpliSafe home security system for 50% off. This is their biggest offer of the year, and you won't want to miss it. Did you know that over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package theft spike nationally? That's why SimpliSafe Home Security are offering that 50% off their award-winning security system so that families can feel safe and secure throughout the holiday season. It is so easy to use. Again, order your SimpliSafe system for half off today and enjoy advanced security and greater peace of mind throughout the holiday season. SimpliSafe was named the best home security system of 2022 by U.S. News and World Report, a third year in a row. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from SimpliSafe to capture critical evidence and verify the threat is real so you can get priority police response. Don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system I recommend. Get 50% off any new SimpliSafe system at simplisafe.com/LockedOnCollege. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplisafe.com/LockedOnCollege. There is no safe like SimpliSafe. Going along here, Locked On SEC, and catching up with our buddy Chris Marler from the College Football Uncensored podcast. All right, Marler, last night the latest college football playoff rankings came out, and obviously a little switcheroo. Tennessee, who was #1 in the first batch of rankings, they fall back. Georgia jumps up to #1, Ohio State 2, Michigan 3, TCU 4. Tennessee falls to 5, so still there in the hunt. Oregon 6. By the way, Marler, Tennessee plays Vandy, South Carolina. Very Mizzou,
nice.
Very winnable last 3 games. Tennessee's going to go 11-1, right?
Hold on, I'm just taking in this graphic right now. This is awesome.
I didn't do this. This is from the Locked On.
I love it. Good job, Locked On team. No, this is great. So I think like when you look at I don't like that one as much. Take that one down. No, so I think when you look at Tennessee, they have so much schedule left, and the schedule that's left is really easy. Like I remember saying this going into the game. I mean, there's more pressure on Georgia than there was Tennessee because Georgia didn't have the resume. That was a great resume. They still have more wins against ranked opponents than anyone else in the country. They still have I think their opponents winning percent or opponents overall records like 51-30. It's tied for first in the SEC or in the country with LSU. I mean, Tennessee's still a really good football team. They're still a really good football team. I was kind of surprised they dropped to 5, but I don't think it really matters because I think you're basically what the committee's saying is, all right, we're going to sit you at 5 and you're a 1-loss team and you now have arguably the best win on anyone's resume, even though I don't agree with that, but you also have the best loss on anyone's resume. At Georgia on the road by 14 points. Very fortunate it started raining because I think that Kirby and Georgia could have hung 40 on them. But they just really took their foot off the gas. I like this. Everything's still in front. I still think Tennessee makes the playoff.
Yeah, that's what's interesting. I want to show the graphic again for those of you watching on YouTube. You got Georgia 1, Tennessee 5, LSU 7, Bama 9, 11. That's 5 SEC teams in the top 11. And if you include Kentucky, who's back there at 24, that's 6 SEC teams in the top 25. But let's talk about some scenarios, Marler. First off, let me just ask you this, quick hitter. LSU, with 2 losses, if they beat number 1 Georgia in the SEC title game, are they in the playoff?
They're in, yeah.
Okay.
They're not going to keep an SEC champion out of the playoff.
Okay, let me create this scenario for you. Let's say Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin finally do it and beat Bama this weekend, and Ole Miss runs the table the rest of the way. Their lone loss to LSU, Tennessee's going to run the table. Their lone loss to Georgia, is Tennessee or Ole Miss attractive at all?
Tennessee is way in over Ole Miss.
Okay.
Ole Miss is not. Ole Miss hasn't played anybody, and they really don't have. I'm trying to look it up right now.
Their non-conference slate really hurts them. At least
so
Tennessee
bad.
Resume says we beat Bama and we beat LSU in Baton Rouge, who just won, the SEC championship in that scenario if they beat Georgia.
Right. Oh, we have Max on right now. We're doing this. We have 3 games on, Gordy. You're making me do this interview. I'm kidding. No, I just think that there's I just really doubt that Ole Miss has enough on honestly on tape. I mean, even like where they kind of get hurt too is where they were kind of listed at before the season started. So like right now, if you look at it, their strength of schedule is 67th. I mean, that's and take from that what you will, because even somehow still ranked 68th, which makes no sense to me. But yeah, I just I don't think there's enough on their slate. And here's the other part too: is if you beat Bama, now you've beat a 3-loss Bama team, including your loss, including their loss too. So who cares?
Yeah, not impressive. If Bama runs the table, you think still no chance for them to get
out
in?
of here, dude.
Hey, I bring it up because they're hanging tough at 9. They're still in the top 9.
They probably shouldn't be at 9. I'll say it.
It's amazing, and I'm just saying this completely just as an SEC fan. When Saban and Bama lose, man, they never fall far. It is always drop them a spot.
Yeah, part of that's because of the reputation they built over the past several years. And you heard McElroy say that, like maybe like on the broadcast, McElroy brought the point. He was like, there's only been 1 2-loss team that's ever deserved to even make it. And I'm like, oh, he's going to talk about 2017 Ohio State. And he was like, and that's Penn State 2016. And I was like, geez. Like, I mean, there is a Bama bias, I think, to an extent at this point. But at the same time, it's like, is it not that deserved? I mean, they are. I don't know. I tell you what the best part about this loss for Bama is now it might be time that we can finally put away some of these terrible getting all the calls.
Yeah, and by the way, I mean, it was a 2-point conversion. If they come up with the tackle, if they just tackle him short of the goal line, it's a Bama win, and we're talking about Bama still in the playoff hunt and all that. So
what a gutsy win! If Jimbo Fisher is calling the plays for y'all still like he was in the mid 2000s, and Bama still wins.
All right, Marlo, let's start to get into it. SEC Week 11. Let's look at some of the games. This is a very early look at the games this weekend. Again, we haven't done a whole lot of the research and delving into it just yet. We'll do that throughout the week. But let's start with the 2 noon Eastern games. How about this, an early CBS game? I don't know why this game is on CBS at noon Eastern, but it's 4-5 Missouri at number 5 Tennessee. The Vols are about a 3-touchdown favorite according to BetOnline.
Yeah, Tennessee will cover that. I'm interested to see how Tennessee looks closing out the year because they have a very easy schedule with Mizzou, and they get Mizzou at home and
South Carolina and Vandy.
I think they also get South Carolina at home. No, they have to go on the road for one of those, right? I know they get Vandy on the road, and they're already planning to checkerboard out the stadium, which is kind of funny.
It's at South Carolina and at Vandy to finish out.
Okay, so I fully what a murderer's row they got to close out with. So I mean, can they do it? No, I think this is and Tennessee fans, I say that tongue in cheek. You guys have already played a tough schedule. Calm down. I think that Tennessee. It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back this week. Now, let's keep in mind here, too, Missouri is a good defense. Missouri really is a good defense. And they got screwed over once again against Kentucky, which seems to happen almost every time they play at home against them. And so
Go tackle a punter, bro. Come on.
I didn't watch a second of it. I know my best friend is a Mizzou guy, and he texted me, and he was like just all up in arms. I'm like, okay. Sorry.
So like the punt went over the punter's head. He ran back like 40 yards. Went to grab it and then kicked it and then got hit. And they're like, no, he's still within the realm of as a punter. So can't hit him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kidding either way, but yeah, no, I think that Tennessee wins this game for sure. I'm interested to see how much they win by because now you're coming into a 3rd straight game where you had Kentucky, which is a big emotional game for them to an extent. Then the Georgia game. Georgia's a huge letdown. I did love the video that I know you saw it too, where Hendon Hooker was kind of getting into his guys, getting in the ribs a little bit and talking about how like what you need to be doing moving forward and like that, and how they just didn't stop learning. I feel like, which is a good thing for Tennessee. Tennessee's in a great spot here, man.
Yeah, I think they bounce back in a big way. They take out their frustrations from a week ago, and the offense gets back to normal, and they
Yeah.
cover that number against Mizzou. The other one is 3-6 Vandy at number 24 Kentucky. The Cats about an 18-point favorite. Look, Tennessee, Kentucky has alternated win loss the last couple weeks. They're going to win this one against Vandy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would think so. And how are they ranked? I'm not going to get into this. You know what? We're not going to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about this game because I'm so fed up that we talk about how Bama gets all these like calls. I don't understand how Kentucky gets the benefit of the doubt on some of these.
They beat Mississippi State. They beat Florida. They probably should have beat Ole Miss, and they lose to South Carolina all because they didn't have Will Levis in that game. So
Okay, well, I
Kentucky's
take it
still a
back.
good
That's a
team.
very sound argument.
Kentucky's still a pretty good team. They're
Yeah.
going to beat Vandy, and I think they'll cover the 18. 4 p.m. Eastern on the SEC Network. It is 6-3 South Carolina at 5-4 Florida. Gators are about 8-point favorite. This one just got a little bit more intriguing because Florida looks like they got a little bit of life. South Carolina's playing pretty well at 6-3 overall.
Yeah, no, I think that like I think this past weekend was really good for South Carolina. I know it's only Vandy, but like being able to get Spencer Rattler going and having the 3 touchdowns, no picks, that's huge for his confidence. Now, I will say also, I think that in the same breath, you got to give Florida a tip of the cap because what they did at A&M. I know A&M had a lot of injuries and illness and what the F ever, but like I think that Florida is a team that's like, I mean, like they still have most dynamic quarterback in the country. And at any day he can beat you if he's on. Now he hasn't been on a lot. But yeah, I like Florida in that game a lot.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth on this one. I think Florida at home in the Swamp probably gets it done, but the 8 points, maybe Florida by a field goal right now. We'll see as the week goes along. More with Chris Marler in just a second. We'll get to the other 4 games in the SEC happening this weekend. Thank you guys again for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. And this episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Look, you got to try the new flavors coming out from Built Bar. They are new reimagined flavors. They got the cookie dough topper. They got coconut brownie bar and the coconut brownie topper. White chocolate peppermint granola. It is Built's take on the granola bar, so it is more filling and still insanely tasty. And candy cane brownie puff. Built Puffs are like biting into the universe's most delicious cloud. First off, for anyone who hasn't tried Built Bars before, they're literally the best tasting protein bars ever built. They're revolutionizing nutrition as we know it with 100% real chocolate, 17 grams of protein packed in there, and shockingly low sugar and calories, only 130 calories in the bars. Just sink your teeth into that first bite and it'll change your life forever. I'm not kidding. There will be a time before you tried these new Built flavors and the magical, wonderful time afterwards. You're probably wondering which new flavor is our favorite? An unanswerable question, to say the least. They are all unbelievable, and they're all different, so you can order a mixed box and try all 5 flavors for yourself. Built, you got to try this. Get 15% off your order right now by using the promo code LOCKEDON15 at Built.com. That's LOCKEDON15 at Built.com. All right, one more segment with our buddy Chris Marler from the College Football Uncensored podcast. And Marler, we got some doozies happening in the SEC this weekend, and we'll start with the other early game happening 11 a.m. Central on ESPN. It is number 7 LSU at 5-4 Arkansas. I was pretty shocked when I saw Arkansas or LSU is just a 3-point favorite. I know going to Fayetteville can be a tough environment, but I would say, 3-point line if this is a night game. An early game, I don't know if Fayetteville is going to be rocking and if Arkansas is up to this, but man, they are really licking their wounds after that loss to Liberty and Hugh Freeze a week ago.
I forgot about
Why do you
that.
laugh?
I mean, they lost to Liberty at like
and
an
without
election
Malik
week
Willis,
too, which is a
Malik
notable
Willis is-
thing. I think hold on. What like is it? Are we sure it's in Little Rock? Are we sure it's in Fayetteville? Or is it in
the game this weekend?
Yeah.
It's in Fayetteville.
Okay.
They stopped doing the Little Rock thing a while back.
Remember that song from that mid-90s country song singer about Little Rock? I'll send it to you after this real sad song talking about divorce, and he's working at a Walmart. Anyway,
it's not Johnny's daddy taking him fishing.
I forgot. Hold on. I forgot. It's like Colin Ray. It's Colin Ray, Little Rock. It's a fantastic song. Very sad song. But if you guys are feeling sorry for yourselves after that loss of Liberty, definitely put on some Little Rock from Colin Ray. Okay, here's the deal. This is Vegas knows something, but also like, does it? Because like, I don't see how LSU, like, this is a perfect example of why you pay Brian Kelly all that money. Isn't to beat Bama, it's to get back up the following week and keep the focus and keep this train rolling. I mean, like, I probably wouldn't touch this game from a betting standpoint now that I know the line is 3, but I still like LSU. I think LSU's got everything in front of them, and I don't see how they fail.
Yeah, it would take them, basically just coming in not prepared, and it could happen. I mean, teams have letdown spots all the time.
Yeah.
And Arkansas, look, they're going to rally the troops and they're going to give LSU their best shot. Rocket Sanders slowed down for the first time this season, really, against Liberty. You tell me he doesn't want to bounce back and run all over LSU. So,
That's true.
yeah, danger spot there for LSU. But now you're in the spotlight. You're number 7, LSU. Time to go prove it. We'll see if they can. A couple of night games. We'll come back to the afternoon game. 6 p.m. Central on ESPN is number 1 Georgia at 6-3 Mississippi State. The Dogs about a 16.5-point favorite. If it was in Athens, I don't think any sweat. But going to Starkville, I think this is a nice little test for Georgia, who coming off, a dominant emotional win. How do they look under the bright lights of Stark Vegas? 16.5-point favorites for Georgia, by the way.
A lot. I think that it's probably a decent amount. That kind of worries me a little bit. But at the same time, I don't see a program that is better prepared consistently than Georgia is. They get up off the mat when they lose, and that's very rare that happens anymore. Anyway, I mean, you look over the past couple of years, man, and outside of that 2020 season when they had all those injuries, they've been just as dominant as any team in the country. So I think that Georgia is able to get back up. I think, and continue to ride this wave of. I mean, that was the most win of the year for me, and I don't think it was close.
Yeah, and Mississippi State, by the way, we've seen their offense get stymied against Kentucky, against Alabama, against LSU. Got to think Georgia's going to do the same thing and stymie.
They might struggle early. That's about it, though. Whatever. Like the first quarter. Look at what the first quarter bet would be. I wouldn't mind taking Mississippi State on that.
The other night game, one game you'll actually be at 6:30 Central on the SEC Network. It is 3-6 Texas A&M at 3-6 Auburn. Auburn, a 2-point home favorite. Marler, the fight for bowl eligibility is on life support in this one.
Yeah, so somebody called it, they nailed us on the head. They said this guy looked at the ticket prices and said whatever one's cheapest is the one we're going to. That's right. This is what happens in Biden's America. This economy, we're gonna be going to Auburn this weekend. It should be fun. Like, listen, I'm going for one reason only, and that is so I can take a picture with Kip. I'm talking about happy birthday, Kip. And the what do you call it? The yell leaders. I think it'd be a lot of fun. But no, I think this would be like a good game. I think I didn't realize until the next day even the fight that Auburn had in that game against Mississippi State. I think there's a lot to be said for that. They didn't show that kind of fight for Brian Harsin, and I'm not. I hate to dog Brian Harsin and kind of kick him while he's down. And when I say down, I mean collecting that like $7.5 or $15 million or whatever it was. I think that I mean A&M, if they're healthy, wins this game. But Auburn at night, there's always something to be said for all them mascots and that one man Jesus, this Auburn Jesus show. I think there's always a lot to be said for that.
Cadillacs on 22s. Can Cadillac Williams get the troops rallied again? And
did you see any of his post game, by the way?
A&M's?
No, Cadillac.
Oh no!
Like the whole thing was this is the whole. Hey, dude, hey, man. Just like that was it. It was like I just felt like he was gonna dap us all up at one point.
Yeah, let's hire him. Bring him to SEC
Dude,
Media
for
Days
real.
Let's get to the last game, Marler. 2:30 Central on CBS. It is number 9 Alabama at number 11 Ole Miss. I kind of laughed when I saw this line, Alabama -12. Like, have we not learned anything from Bama on the road this year? They're playing close games, guys. Yeah. I know they want to beat Lane Kiffin, but look, Lane, like a year ago, learned his lesson with get your popcorn ready. got an amazing run game with Quinshon Judkins. Sounds like Zach Evans will be in there again. So I don't know, man. I think this one's closer, but they must think the Bama revenge game comes here after, losing a week ago. Bama always seems to bounce back in a big way the next week.
Okay, hold on. My girlfriend just walked in, and I'm like, she just told me she was over at a friend's house, and then she just showed up, and I've been scared to death that somebody has broken into this damn house while we're doing this effing recording. So I've been panicking watching these feet walk out. Hey, babe, glad you're here. My goodness. Okay, sorry for that. I'm back.
That'd be great for ratings. If somebody comes in and murders you during the podcast, it'd be great for ratings.
Yeah, that would be really good for views. I'm
Most
sure.
on video on YouTube. Watch guy get murdered on podcast.
I don't know why I'm laughing at that. It's so morbid. Okay, now going to this game, I think it'll be interesting to see two things. One, how does Bama respond? Because I don't feel like they got a lot to play for. I think that they've got a long way to go in terms of all the holes like we mentioned earlier. They got to play on the road. I don't think that Vaught Hemingway is anything like Death Valley by any means. I don't think it's anything to Phil. I mean, how much is this team? How much they care? Like, how much does this team care? And I hate to even bring that part up as like the deciding factor because, damn it, because I also don't know if it's going to matter either way. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
I'm going to kill this Yeti microphone. All right, we're back. No, it's always fun. Always fun to do with Chris Marler here, as if most professional podcaster in the land. No, well, so I think
we're wrapping things up anyway. Give me your final thought.
No, so I think that I mean, I don't think anyone's going to line up, and I hate to say this after the LSU game, I don't think anyone's going to line up and run the football down Bama's throat necessarily. So I know you apparently disagree with that from the face you're giving me right now.
Good. Quinshon Judkins and Zach Evans. If they get stymied by Bama, then good for Bama. But I don't know, man. They look good.
You got to be two-dimensional, I think, to beat Alabama on this defense, and I think that they will. I think they'll be improved, and I think you'll see guys like Will Anderson who will finally turn some leadership skills on and win this game. So there's that.
Yeah, Jackson Dart, running ability, not as good as Jaden Daniels, but he can run.
Yeah,
we'll see. He is Chris Marler from the College Football Uncensored podcast. Marler, great to have you on, and we'll talk next week after another Alabama loss, all right?
I hate you. I'll talk to you later. Bye, Gordy.
He is Chris Marler, College Football Uncensored podcast. Appreciate him for coming on. Thank you guys for making Locked On SEC your first listen every day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Chris Gordy. This has been Locked On SEC. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.